Hello! My name is Filqon, and welcome to part 2 of a multi-part series where I'll be recreating Mario Odyssey in Minecraft. And in this video, I'll be creating the Cascade Kingdom. If you saw the last video where I built the Cap Kingdom, you'll know the video ended off with me pressing a magic button that teleported me to the Cascade Kingdom. 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness! Could it be? I think I'm in the Cascade Kingdom. Well, in reality, it teleported me to this box. Yeah, this is all it was. But don't worry, because this box will very soon turn into the entire Cascade Kingdom. And that's where we're going to get started today. If you wish to skip to the final product, you can skip ahead to the timestamp that's on the screen right now. And if you enjoy the video, or at least appreciate what I've done, please make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts down below. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the building. To get this build started, I must first get down the basic shape of the main island that I'll be working with. And if you're wondering why it's slightly off camera, that's because I get the shape all wrong, just like I did in the Cap Kingdom. I never learned from my mistakes. Anyways, once I get this shape down, I get all the crucial landmarks in place, like the little walls you see around, the rocks, and other little details like that, before moving on to the next area. So for now, I decided to move on to the bridge and start on the second area. But don't worry, all of this is just temporary blocks placed here so I can get an idea of where I'm going. I come back and fix it all later. Alright, and now that I had figured out the basic shape, scale, and landmarks of the first area, it was time to move on to the bridge and the second area, I guess is what I'll call that. Alright, and with that, I'm going to call the basics of the second part of this build done. And now we move on to what I'm defining as the third portion. And this is where you can really see that the Cascade Kingdom gets a lot more complex than the Cap Kingdom. I ran into a lot more struggles here trying to figure out the angles, and there's so much depth and change in elevation and tiny little details, and it really, honestly, it gets to be a lot, but I think I figured it out at the end, and you can really see the Cascade Kingdom start coming together once I get this area complete, so I guess enjoy. And remember, everything is subject to change in the future when I make the final touches. Now I have finished most of the third area, and this is where everything falls apart. You can see it's taking me a while to do basic things like place this wall, figure out how to do this, because this entire section, everything from this point forth, is diagonal in the game. It goes on an angle from here. There's no more 90 degrees. It's just everything is on an angle, and that is a huge problem because Minecraft, as I stated before, does not like diagonals. It doesn't work. You can see me here trying to figure it out. I eventually give up, and at this point, once this specific clip ends here, I gave up. I straight up, I did not know what to do. I did not touch this Cascade Kingdom for probably almost a month. It was bad. I didn't know how to fix this issue. It totally ruined everything. So that is where I'm at right now. And I'm gonna let this finish playing out so you can see my attempts at making this angle work before we move on to how I actually fix this issue. Because yes, I eventually got over myself, and a month later, got back to it. And I figured it out, so not to worry, it all gets done. At last, it was time to accept defeat. And I say that because in order to fix this section of the build that was at an angle, I had to sacrifice a little bit of the one-to-one accuracy of the build. The Cap Kingdom, for example, was pretty much perfect. Everything was at 90-degree angles, which meant I could easily make everything exactly to scale, everything in the exact right positions, and it went great. Cascade Kingdom, on the other hand, this threw a curveball at me. So instead of doing the angles, I pretty much just committed to 90 degrees. And it doesn't look bad at the end, trust me. You know, if you can skip ahead to the final product, like I said, it all looks great, but it did mean that I had to extend certain areas of the mountain, particularly the one that's on the left side of the screen at the moment, or one that will be on the left side of the screen. So the scale of that one is a little bit off, as well as partially the right mountain, but you can't really tell in the end unless you're taking a really close look. So it's not the end of the world. It worked out in the end, I think, but yeah, that's how I fixed it. Basically just said, I don't care about diagonals, I'm doing it my way. So you can enjoy me putting together this pretty significant portion of the build and trying to figure it out as I go, because like I said, it was really complicated and I had to take some creative liberties in order to figure this out. With that section done, most of the annoying diagonal problems were all dealt with. And I can move on to this next area, which, instead of building the big old rocky thing that sits in front of this section for the start of the game, I decided I'm going to do the fun thing and build a representation of the 2D area that you see when you actually, play through the game and beat the kingdoms. So that's what I'm doing here. Although you can see I'm running into a few problems because I need the 2D area to line up there, and it doesn't. So I had to add some walls on either side of the 2D area, as you'll see me do in a second, in order to fix that problem. But for now, I just wanted to finish the section as accurately as I could. With the 2D section in place, I can now move on to the rest of this section, and it does get a little bit tricky because, like I said, the lack of building on diagonal angles meant that the scale of some of these things had to change, and this area was hit pretty hard by that effect. So it's not all lined up directly as it should. Some things are bigger than they're supposed to be. It was a bit tough, but I get still most of the basic landmarks down, and it looks good in the end. Just not quite as accurate as I would have liked. But oh well. And now, after I get a couple basic details that I missed done, it's time to start on something that I was really nervous for this build. A lot of it so far has been pretty easy, despite the angle issue that we already talked about. But now it's time to start doing the mountains. Getting the shape, the scale, all of that stuff. And that is hard. I definitely struggled a bit with that. And just a little heads up, this might be a little bit difficult to time-lapse, just given the all-over nature that I kind of built this in. I wasn't really thinking of time-lapsing it when I was building, so I kind of went all around and I can't see everything at once, but I'll try my best. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Let's keep this going. And of course, keep in mind as you're watching this, I will be smoothing it out after. This is just, I'm just using the spheres to get a basic shape down, but it'll look much better than this once I get there, so don't lose faith in me yet. So this is the part where those with a keen eye may start to notice exactly how much I had to scale up this particular mountain to compensate for the loss of the angle in this part. So I apologize that I had to make some choices, and some of it looks a little bit off, but in the grand scheme of the whole build, if you're not directly comparing it side to side with the game, it doesn't look bad. You know, it's just a little bit spread out compared to the real thing. Alright, well, I actually expected that cut to be a little bit longer before I started talking again, but we're moving on to the fossil and the ribcage that you see as a prominent part of this mountain in the Odyssey, in Mario Odyssey. So, this I was terrified of. Out of everything in this entire build, mountains included, the fossil was the part I was most scared of and had no idea how to do. In the end, you'll see, it doesn't look too bad. You know, obviously it's not perfect because it's a very curvy shape in game, and you know, Minecraft and curves, they don't really get along, but I'm pretty proud of how I ended up doing, so you'll get to see how all this comes together. Alright, and with the fossil done, now I can move on to things like the waterfall. But, and then also these little islands that kind of come off the skull. I didn't realize those existed at first, so I kind of forgot about them, but they're getting built now. And then, yeah, I'm moving on to the waterfall, which you'll see in a minute. It's really cool. Like, I did a pretty good job. It's a mixture of different glasses and stained glass and glass panes. And World Edit, of course, was a massive help for this, but you know, it's still me. I still decided the color palette myself, you know. I tested around, figured it out. So, in the end, I'm actually really happy with how it looks because I needed it to be more of a white than a, you know, traditional Minecraft blue water because it's very white in the game. So, you'll get to see how that turns out. Alright, you may notice that between cuts, a giant hole has appeared. That's because it is time to make the Cascade Kingdom what, in my opinion, really makes it the Cascade Kingdom, besides the fossil. I think that's important. But that is the fact that it's a giant floating island thing in the middle of water. And that's the step we're on now. So I cleared out a giant space. Wasn't really time-lapseable, so we're just gonna cut that. But yeah, now I'm shaping down the mountain to go all the way down to the bottom. And once again, it's gonna require basic shaping, and then I'm gonna smooth it down after. Let's get through the last major time lapse of this video. That's right, we're nearing the end. Very exciting. It was at this point I had realized I had completely forgot that this was a bridge. And yeah, well, I just deleted it, but I built it totally wrong. I had this all going all one direction. The bridge wasn't even floating. I forgot this section. Yeah, a little embarrassing. That's because once I started building these mountains, I realized I don't really have to follow this, you know, block for block. All of the mountains just kind of slowly go inwards, so that's what I did. But yeah, this section is just me fixing the bridge portion. Silly me. Now that I had all the terraining done, I could move on to finishing the rest of the waterfall. That goes down into what will, in just a moment, be a giant pool of water at the bottom. And with the last of the waterfall in place, I am very happy to announce that all that is left is the tiny little final details. And that means we're done with time lapses this episode. Now it's just cutting from update to update. And this update is water. Yep, this wasn't a really huge thing, obviously. Once I built the waterfall, all I did was put some, don't even remember what block this was, something like light blue terracotta, and put 2 layers of water, and that's it. That's really all I had to do. Next step after the water was adding the sky, just like I did in the Cap Kingdom. But this looks kind of stupid and boring, so I decided to add some texturing and some clouds to make it less stupid and boring. And if you actually look really closely in the actual Cascade Kingdom in the game, it kind of starts off with a lighter blue and gets darker as it goes up. So that's exactly what I tried to emulate here, as well as the clouds that, in all honesty, were randomly placed around. And then I built this floating island that I had realized I completely forgot before. So, yep, that happened. As well as I added this little section that I also completely forgot the first time. And then it was time to liven things up. I went around the entire kingdom and put grass and blue flowers everywhere where there was grass and blue flowers in the real game. Yep, I went that in depth. All of these blue flowers are particularly placed, believe it or not, as well as every blade of grass. So that was the one detail that I think added some life to this kingdom, which was much needed. Next step, vines. That was another element of this kingdom that was missing, and just like the grass, adds a bit more life. And yes, all of these vines are particularly placed as per Mario Odyssey, so that was a wonderful addition to really bring this place together. And for the final detail of this Cascade Kingdom to make it 100% complete, changing the walls to mud, which I alluded to doing at the start of the video because I didn't really like how granite worked. Mud, I find, is much closer to the brown of the Cascade Kingdom, and if you ask me, it looks better. And that's it. Which brings us to the final product. That's right, the Cascade Kingdom is officially complete. And oh my lord, what a journey this was. As I've already hammered home in the rest of this video, this was a significant jump in difficulty from the Cap Kingdom. So this took a lot of work, which means, of course, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed and let me know your thoughts so I can have the motivation to keep doing stuff like this. You can see that every single detail is in place now, down to all the blue flowers, the grass that is actually, believe it or not, placed in specific areas depending on what I saw in the actual game. All the rocks, all the everything, it all looks great, even the vines. And if we walk along across this bridge, get a closer look at the waterfall. And yeah, it's all fully functional. Every single area is complete to the best of my ability. There'll be some comparison images at the end of the video so you can see exactly how I did compared to the real game. But believe me, it's pretty good overall. Besides the background, I do acknowledge that this is not at all what the Cascade Kingdom looks like in the background. But yeah, if we walk along here, you'll see these super non-realistic chain chomps. Yeah, probably could have put some like eyes on them somehow, but it was hard because you can't really make circles in Minecraft, and you definitely can't make circles in Minecraft that fit in a 3x3 space, which is really all it came up to. And you can go around the side for a little secret, but I'll just follow this main path for the sake of the video. And you get onto this section, you cross the bridge. There will be a sub area built in that section over there in the future. I plan to build all sub areas. We got our 2D section that is unfortunately not playable, you know. You can't actually turn yourself 2D and jump up these platforms that you can in the actual game. But don't worry, because you can just enter this pipe, definitely not pushing a button on the side, and now you're at the top, so it all worked out anyways. And you got some more chain jumps up here, and of course the fossil, by far the scariest part of this. I was really scared to even get started on it, and yeah, I think it turned out okay in the end. You know, I could have done better. The pure white quartz isn't really accurate to the kind of dusty old bone look of the actual game, but Minecraft has its limitations. And moving on from here, we cross yet another bridge onto the final platform where you would normally see Madame Brutal. I hope I said the right boss there. It'd be embarrassing if I didn't, but you get the point. This is the final boss stage. I didn't build her either, obviously, because 1, it would look terrible, and 2, this is the completed version of the Cascade Kingdom, not, you know, when you first enter it. And you can tell by the lack of brutal, and the fact that the bridge is, you know, actually connecting instead of being straight up like it is at the start of the game. So, certain things like that. But yeah, overall, I think I'm pretty happy with it. The Cascade Kingdom does go all the way down to the water, just like in the real game. Waterfall continues all the way down. And as you saw on the time-lapse, if you watched the whole video, I did spend a lot of time actually smoothing out this mountain and making it look good. So, I don't think I had to do that, you know? People wouldn't really notice if I didn't make it all look smooth. Obviously, I didn't get every area, as I'm seeing now. But, you know, I did pretty good. I tried to go above and beyond and do the best I could. So I hope you appreciate that. You'll see right over here, I have this red button mysteriously on the ground. This red button represents the Odyssey. I haven't built that yet either. It will be done, you know, for future kingdoms. And I'll come back and build it for the Cap and the Cascade as well. But for now, it's just this button. And this button takes you to where the eventual Sand Kingdom will be. Huh. I see I did not put the TP in the right spot. Excuse me while I go into this very realistic Sand Kingdom box. Wow! I'm at the Sand Kingdom! How crazy! Yeah, you get the point. I'm not doing that again for this video. Either way, that's the end. The Cascade Kingdom is what this video was supposed to be about as we go into the darkness. I'm gonna basically just roll the end credits now. You can see the reference images so you can see how close to the real product this actually is. And I will see you in the next video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the Sand Kingdom. And that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.
Subscribe.